Welcome to the Clear to Send podcast, a podcast about wireless engineering, where we educate you on Wi-Fi technology, talk about design tips, troubleshooting, interviews, and the tools. Here are your hosts, Roel and Francois.
Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the Clear to Send podcast. I am your co-host, Roel, alongside Francois. How are you doing, Francois?
Very good. Hey, Roel. How are you?
Yeah, well, I'm doing great. Good morning to you. It's morning while we record. I actually did not wake up yesterday to record.
It's okay.
Sorry about that.
Everyone needs to sleep.
Everyone needs to sleep. Yeah, I try to record with Francois as early as I can, and usually that means about 5 a.m. or 5:30 my time.
Yeah. That's already pretty courageous.
And then usually I'm awake at that time, but then the last couple of days have been pretty rough for me, so I haven't been, like my alarm goes off, and I guess I don't hit snooze. I actually just dismiss the whole alarm altogether, yeah. But here we are, we're recording another episode. It's so far a good start to the new year because we're on our second episode.
Yeah?
Keep it going.
All right.
So in this episode is going to be This Week in Wi-Fi. So we're going to talk about a bunch of news that we've gathered from the week that we've found. The first thing that we want to remind everyone is we still have the survey going on, and we really want to know what you guys think of the podcast and what your thoughts are and what kind of topics you guys want to hear about. So if you head over to cleartosend.net/2019-survey, it'll be about a 1 to 2 minute survey. If you guys complete that, it would be we would be very appreciative of that, because we do already have, I think, about 60 people who have already done the survey. So 62. We really want to thank you guys for doing that. Or 62. Yeah, there you go. It's already been updated.
We should stop at 100. Like, we should aim 100 responses. We can do it.
Yeah, we'll celebrate if we can get to 100. And we know we know you guys are busy, so we tried to keep the survey short. So it is. I did it myself. It took about 1 to 2 minutes. If you already know the answers, you can click through it fairly quickly. And we just want to know who the listeners are and what topics they're really interested in hearing about, so we could plan other episodes for the rest of this year and make sure it's relevant. So that's the first thing about the survey. And in this episode, again, it's about news. So we'll have links out in our show notes at cleartosend.net/203, because there are quite a bit of links in this one. The first announcement that we're going to talk about is the Wi-Fi Alliance announces Wi-Fi 6E. We just had Wi-Fi 6, Francois. What do you think about the E now?
Yeah, for me, it was a little confusing when I heard about that. So just to put it back into the context, Wi-Fi 6E, it's pretty much, Wi-Fi 6, but on the 6 gigahertz frequency band. So
and I think that's where the confusion is going to be, right?
I don't know about you, but for me, when I first saw the 6E, it reminded me of two things. First, it reminded me of the Samsung smartphone. Remember last year they introduced the S10 and then the S10e, which was like the cheaper version of the S10. And then it reminded me of 5G and 5GE, which is like 5GE is not really 5G. So I was like, what is Wi-Fi 6E? Is it like a cheaper version of Wi-Fi 6?
Yeah.
and then I realized it's Wi-Fi 6 on 6 gig, which is like, technically speaking, it's a big change for us.
Yeah, it's a major change to Wi-Fi 6, because Wi-Fi 6, as we all know, is 802.11ax, and the E actually stands for extended, and that's because the 11ax will be extended to 6 gigahertz. Now, to me, that sounds like it should be maybe Wi-Fi 7. We're talking about a whole new set of spectrum, about 1200 megahertz of spectrum, which would dramatically improve Wi-Fi today. once approved by the FCC. We're not talking about just a slight improvement to Wi-Fi 6. This is huge.
Yeah, the only issue is I think is that's the limitation of the the numbers naming that they introduced last year, or I guess in 2018 now. They tried to tie the number to the IEEE amendment, right? So if you think it that way, it should still be Wi-Fi 6 because we're still talking about AX, right?
Yeah,
but
that's true.
But it's not. I mean, it's in a totally new frequency band. You don't have any backward compatibility to work with. So this means that some of the protocol might change a little bit. Some of the way we do the Wi-Fi communications might change a little bit. So that would, like, you're right. That would justify a brand new number for this iteration.
Yeah. I think it should have been a new number, and it's also weird to me that they would come out with this certification so early because it hasn't. It's still being talked about at the FCC unless the Wi-Fi Alliance has some sort of insight into what's going on, because they only FCC just recently has been looking at it. It's only been about 2 years or less than 2 years from what I know. And I do know that there's other companies pushing for the unlicensed use of 6 gigahertz, especially companies like Facebook, because I found that they were intending to use 6 gigahertz for augmented reality and virtual reality with their what's that thing called? They have their own product that they want to push that will use 6 gigahertz, which makes sense because then they would have so much spectrum available to them in order for that product to really be successful.
Yeah, I think just like you, I think it seems a little early because the spectrum is still not available at the FCC level, and plus we're talking only about the US right now, right? It's not even available in the rest of the world. Everyone is kind of waiting for the FCC to try to see what they're going to do, and then they'll move forward from that. But I think it might be like a move from the Wi-Fi Alliance, just like the other company, to show that they're really interested in having that spectrum available for Wi-Fi. They're like, okay, we're going to set up the certification for now, even if it's not available, just to show the FCC that we're really serious about it. We really want it. Maybe it's a little bit of a how do you call it, like a marketing push towards it.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge marketing push, and it's not like this frequency is just sitting there not being used. There are incumbents that are using 6 gigahertz, AT&T being one of them, because they are opposed to using 6 gigahertz as unlicensed frequency. They're saying it would put their connections at risk, right? They use it for backhaul, for I think some other priorities that are tied to public safety. So AT&T is not really pushing for this, so they've sent letters to the FCC, and they are at a minimum wanting to do some sort of automated frequency coordination to protect themselves. And so we might see some of that, which will be similar to DFS, but not quite, right? So it's going to be, I think, closer towards CBRS with automated frequency coordination, where if you're nearby one of those transmissions, your access points would know and probably try to avoid some of those channels or the frequency that's being used in that area. But companies like Facebook and other companies who want to use 6 gigahertz, they are pushing for what they're calling very low power. And I was trying to figure out what very low power meant, right?
14 dBm.
Which is a power that I use frequently.
Yeah, it's not low power for us, which is a good news, right?
Yeah, so as long as we keep it indoors and keep it very low power, I think it will be we'll be able to use it pretty easily, especially with buildings where newer buildings where the frequency probably won't even leave the building because of the building materials. we may be able to get away with using 6 gigahertz pretty easily.
Yeah. The application AR application it's called the Facebook AR application is called Spark. Spark AR.
That's what it is. Yeah. We'll put a link out to a letter that they sent to the FCC, and it also includes kind of a roadmap for what they plan to use 6 gigahertz for. And they've got some pretty large numbers attached to that document.
Yeah, these letters are very interesting. You can also see because like being on the Wi-Fi side, we always hear about Wi-Fi, all these companies warning 6 gigahertz available for Wi-Fi, and we don't really see the other side of the story. But looking at these letters, you see that AT&T on one end, they say, okay, we need to be careful about these. There's also a whole bunch of utilities companies that are warning the FCC because they use a whole bunch of equipment in these frequency bands, and these are like business critical application for them. So it's nice to see both sides of the story and see how we could find technical solutions to make everyone happy.
Yeah, so you get a bit of the regulation portion of it and also some of the politics. So reading the letters, it's kind of interesting to see the positions of these companies, and AT&T did a whole study on this, but apparently some of the companies looked into the study and found some discrepancies about it. So it is very much political.
It's like a little war.
Yeah, but it's all done through letters to the FCC.
Yeah, it's funny to read. And then you have these alliances, Cisco teamed up with blah, 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 and then they analyzed AT&T letter, and here's what's wrong about it.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see. And then you have Wi-Fi Alliance that's going, we're not going to certify devices for 6 gigahertz.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's just kind of pushing the community, the people, the mass, in order to go, we should really hop on this. And so FCC wants to make this available to us, and Aruba is very much at the forefront because if you've seen Chuck's presentation from WLPC and other places, he's got a really good presentation on what 6 gigahertz is going to bring into this.
Even at Mobility
industry.
Field Day last year, he talked about it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was at Mobility Field Day, and we'll give you a link to the PowerPoint, because if you just look at the available spectrum that we would actually be able to fully utilize the capabilities of Wi-Fi, right? We would be able to use channel bonding, especially at 160 megahertz, but it would just require all new equipment, right? All new devices that are 6 gigahertz capable, APs that are 6 gigahertz capable. So it's not something that will happen instantly.
Yeah, and they're planning on releasing 1,200 megahertz of spectrum in the US.
Yeah, and then you brought this up to me today, Francois. I was like, Broadcom already has apparently a Wi-Fi 6E ready chipset.
Yeah. So I guess they've been working on it. So
and I have seen on LinkedIn, there's somebody on LinkedIn that is actually testing 6 gigahertz. They show frequency spectrum utilization from whatever tool they're using. I think they're using Candela for their testing, but I mean, there's people testing it right now.
It's Firas. It's Firas.
Yeah, Firas is the one testing it.
Comcast, I believe.
Yeah, which is really interesting to see. So apparently it's close. We don't know how close yet, when it's going to be available. It's all up to FCC on making that approval. But we do have, I did reach out to Fred Niehaus from Cisco, and we do have a quote he was able to record from us, so we can get this from Cisco's perspective, and I'll play that right now.
Hello everyone out there in Clear to Sand land. This is Fred Niehaus with Cisco Systems. Hey, Cisco is excited to support the FCC and other regulatory agencies in their efforts to open up new spectrum for unlicensed Wi-Fi use. The proposed new 6 gigahertz band, the Wi-Fi Alliance will be marketing this as Wi-Fi 6E, will actually double the available usable spectrum, enabling real-world deployments of, say, 80 and 160 meg channels possible. The additional requirement for only Wi-Fi 6 802.11ax compatible type devices, meaning no older legacy devices, will make this band extremely useful and immediately demonstrate the efficiency and high throughput data capability of the new Wi-Fi 6E standard. It's going to be fun. Stay tuned.
I like that comment he makes at the
Yeah.
end.
Talking about that, we should do one full episode just on that and expand a little bit more on Wi-Fi 6E and what it means. Because everyone, like if you listen to the vendors, everyone is saying, AR and throughput and all of this. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about, how everything will work. Technically speaking, what's really new about it? Because there's not really anything new. It's just different way to use it.
Just different frequency, yeah. All right, so we beat that one pretty good. So let's move on to the next topic. One of the next things that I saw online was this PowerShell script that Josh, I can never say his last name, Schmegel.
That's a good try.
Yeah, it's a good try.
You notice how I don't
try? It's the
try?
best I'll do. You want to try it?
Schmelzel.
Oh, that's way better than me.
All right. Josh, we'll call him
Good
Josh.
job. All right. Yeah. Sorry, Josh. Well, he created a PowerShell module that you could use with your Windows computer. PowerShell is very popular with Windows, and I think it's a very useful tool that can be used for troubleshooting, for configuration. So he created this PowerShell module that will list nearby WLANs from that Windows computer. So why did I think this was worth putting it in here for news? Well, I know a long time ago I used to manage a Windows infrastructure, and PowerShell was just getting big, and there was a lot of capabilities you were able to do with that. So that also meant being able to remotely run these commands on other computers or servers. So if you've got this module installed in computers in your company, you would be able to actually run this module remotely for troubleshooting purposes. So I think that would actually be useful, and maybe there's other use cases for it. Maybe we could use it somehow for validation purposes. So I say give this a look. We'll have a link in the show notes. He is asking for any constructive feedback, but it does list out for that laptop, the SSIDs, also the BSSID and its RSSI. And you'll be able to tell what kind of protocol as well. So if it's high throughput, very high throughput, for example. So I think that's actually pretty cool. Josh actually has a lot of great scripts that he's written, and this one being one of those as well.
Yeah, and I think this this also shows that, as Wi-Fi engineers, network engineers, we can also build our own tools and try to make them fit our specific needs. Right. I think Josh works for like a large hospitals, so he probably has different sites and he needs insights from different sites from Windows machines. So he's like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to create my tool that's going to allow me to do my job better. And that's a whole theme behind, programming and how we can use those tools to make our jobs better. And as engineers, we're always, ready to create our own tools to meet our needs or find technical solutions for our specific needs. And I think that's a perfect example of it. He had an idea, he created a tool, and then he's just sharing it with everyone. He's probably going to make it better, right? He probably already have other ideas on how he could add. If you look at the versions, it's version 0.0.3 or 4, sorry. So yeah, we could guess that he's probably working on other stuff in the background, but it's just like a perfect example that if you learn a little bit more about programming, you can create your own tools to meet your own needs.
Yeah, and I think it's great that he's able to get that out there. He's also very open to explaining how he does things. So if you wanted to learn how to create your own scripts, he's very helpful in that regard. So head over to the show notes for a link to that PowerShell module. Give it a try and let us know what you think. Let Josh know what you think. All right, the next piece of news, Dennis Klein, I met this guy at WLPC Prague. He's really cool. He started a YouTube channel. So his first video, or his second video, is 5 reasons why you should become a certified Wi-Fi professional. It's a pretty good video, and he goes into good detail. And I think it's something that should be shared out there in the industry, so that way we can get more people to be familiar with Wi-Fi, learn about Wi-Fi, and be able to troubleshoot and design properly. Because, every other technology gets a whole lot of like press, right? They get a lot of shares out there, and I think Wi-Fi just gets a ton of shares just within our industry. So I think it's great to share something like this with other IT professionals who may be interested in Wi-Fi, and this could be a reason why they should become certified as a Wi-Fi professional.
Yeah, and it's really nice to have people creating content on different platforms. He's having his a YouTube channel. It's called the Wi-Fi channel. It's a perfect name, right? And he had a pretty good response from the community. He already has 52 subscribers, and his first video is very nice. He has this little setup in his office, so looking forward to more content from Dennis, and he's a really nice guy too. He attended our Wi-Fi 6 party at WLPC, and then he created a presentation after the fact to talk about what we did during the party, and he presented that to everyone on the last day of the WLPC.
Yeah, and part of that is that first video he uploaded, so you can check that out as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll link out to his YouTube channel in the show notes. Moving forward to another video. Now, these videos are this is a video I bookmarked quite a long time ago, but I just got around to looking at it. But it's a series of videos on antenna fundamentals, and it's created by the Canadian Air Force.
Yeah, I know.
Of all people, and it's an old video, but it's very good. I think it was like really well done, and it just reminds me of like old video games for some reason. The way they talk, demonstrate everything. Yeah. But it's a well done video if you want to understand how antennas work and signals. I would highly suggest watching these 3 videos. I sat there watching it going, man, this is like, it's so basic, but it gets the job done. Like you really understand just by watching this video because they give you these simple like animated diagrams of what signal would look like, what happens when signal is out of phase, for example, and how signal is directed. And so head over to the show notes, check out these videos. Let me know what you guys think. It may be old, but it's really good.
It's really good. And it's they talk about the physics behind, how the signal is propagating into a space and how an antenna work. And I feel like these video, like we as Wi-Fi engineer, we should watch them like once every 2 months or something.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's something that I definitely want to take a look at more often, because being able to explain it that simply, that takes a lot of skill, right? You really have to know what you're talking about to understand it and explain it that easily. Yeah. So check that out. This next more recent piece of news, Francois, you shared this one. It's coming from Nicholas, the new version of iOS XE for the C9800 from Cisco. And this one is a fairly big update, right?
Yeah.
It supports the new controller on the 9100s, which we would have called Mobility Express, but because Mobility Express is tied to AirOS, it is now rebranded as Embedded Wireless Controller. What do you think, Francois?
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. That's amazing. That's just the ability to put the the controller code on an AP itself, so you can just use it, as a standalone AP, or you could use one AP to be the controller in your network. I want to test it out. I want to see if it could be a good solution in smaller sites, for instance. So you don't have to deploy like a VM or a cloud controller if you want the controller to be local on site, or even if you want to do AP on a stick. You could use that as well, the embedded wireless controller.
Yeah, I think for AP on a stick purposes, this is the way you would do it, is by installing the embedded wireless controller code, and then basically it has its controller built in, and then you could run your AP on a stick surveys. And it is positioned very well for smaller environments, although it does support quite a number of APs. And then what's really neat is if that AP goes down, it will be picked up by another AP. So there's some redundancy there. And it's going to be supported on the Catalyst 9120 access points, the E and the P. I don't see it being supported on the other access points, the 9115 and the 9117. At least that's not what it says on the show notes.
I think it will. The what I put on the show notes is just like the new version of the controller supports the new IPs. It's not related to the embedded.
I meant in the release notes.
On the release notes? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, on the release notes, it doesn't say that it is supported on the 9115 or 17, but it is supported on the 9120 and I think the 9130.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see that. I want to test it out, but I only have a 9117, so.
Yeah, and so the new version here of this code also supports the latest access point, the 9130. And so there's some other new updates. Actually, no, that was pretty much it for 16.12.2s.
And it got released. So it got released earlier this week.
Yeah. All right. So the next piece of news, the Cisco IT Blog Awards that got published. Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't win.
What? Okay.
But
it's okay.
A lot of our friends did.
Yeah. We actually have 3 CWNEs out of the 6 winners, which is amazing.
And I think that's really good for wireless, right? Because wireless is now getting up there, right? So we've got Rasika, who's got the best analysis blog, which obviously he wins that one because he does an excellent job on his blog for that. Then we've got Wi-Fi Nigel as being the most educational.
Yeah, that's
awesome. And then also Amy Engineer for most inspirational. So those 3, that's half of the winners right there.
Yeah,
which are Wi-Fi related. The other 3. So we in our category, it was best podcast or video series. That went to Madrasa Tech, and they talk in a different language, so I couldn't really understand what they're saying, but the content looked good. So I say hats off to them. So that's 2 years in a row where it went to a video-based
we need to do a
show.
We need to do a YouTube channel or something.
Yeah, so obviously people prefer the videos. And then there's the best certification study journey by IP Cisco, and the best newcomer is Cisco Worker Bee. So that one I haven't actually seen yet. So I'll probably check that out. But we'll add a link in the show notes so you can see all the winners. Congrats to all the winners. This is the second year I think Cisco has done this. So I think it's pretty cool to give acknowledgement to the community out there who actually contribute quite a bit, especially to Cisco content or Cisco related content. And it's not just limited to Cisco. It's just anyone who actually creates a lot of content and the content that people like to see.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very nice. It's kind of like the Wi-Fi awards, It's kind of like, it says thank you to the people who share their knowledge.
I think that's the next one that's coming up is the Wi-Fi awards.
And it also encourage people to keep on sharing, what they learn and
yes, definitely. So go ahead and start yours and get ready for next year.
Exactly.
Or this year.
We should do some.
Then they announce the winners in 2021.
We should do some lobbying so they create a podcast only section.
Yeah, I've actually made that comment because we'll just keep losing to the video guys. All right. So the next piece is there's actually a new training and certification program out there called the Accredited Wireless Adjuster, the AWA. It's a course and certification created by Devin Aiken because it fills a gap in the Wi-Fi training that's available today. And it's aimed towards the practical side and the practical hands-on. And so you're going to learn about actually doing assessments, remediation, and troubleshooting. What do you think about this, Francois?
It's nice knowing Devin. I know he's a great teacher. He creates great courses, so I'm sure it's going to be really good. It's a 2-day class. And it's a lot of hands-on. I think he's trying to use a lot of inexpensive tools like Wi-Fi scanners and stuff like that to do some troubleshooting, remediation assessments. It reminds me a little bit of the ECC troubleshooting. So I want to see how these two classes are different.
Yeah, I haven't taken the ECSC troubleshooting class, but I guess you would be like you've taken both the troubleshooting class, so you'd know how to compare.
Yeah,
the two.
it's a troubleshooting class for ECSC. The ECSC troubleshooting. It's a WLAN PI, and then you use that to do some testing, some troubleshooting. And you use Wi-Fi scanners and stuff like that. So it sounded a lot similar. So I'm interested to see how different it is. I think for Devin's class, you don't have a lot of slides. It's a lot of practical, maybe situation work, group work. So it's a different approach to it. So that's also very interesting.
And I think this is going to be an important skill nowadays because wireless networks are now being advertised as AI and ML, and you don't need an expert sitting right then and there. But then when these systems don't really give you the information you need to troubleshoot, then you need somebody who's got some practical hands-on experience and knows how to use tools, who understands the 802.11 protocol to be able to go in there and start troubleshooting issues from maybe at a device level, be able to look at frame captures, for example. And so this is where I think this course will shine, is that it's not quite the same as the other ones.
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about it, you can go on Devin's website, dived in. We'll put the link in the description or in the show notes. And he also has a schedule out there, so you can see which classes will be organized. I think he has 2 beta classes in Atlanta where he lives, and then he'll go tour, I guess, if class is popular, and then go everywhere to ditch it.
Yeah, he'll go on tour.
He'll go on the Devin store.
All right, so that's all we have for news this week. We talked about the Wi-Fi Alliance, Wi-Fi 6E. We talked about PowerShell on Windows computers, 5 reasons why you should become a certified Wi-Fi professional, a video you should check out. Another video series on antenna fundamentals you should watch. iOS XC updates for the C9800, and then IT Blog Awards and the training.
Yeah, and then just as a closing note and a question for you guys, just want to ask you, what do you think about the Wi-Fi 6E naming? All right, so if you have any thoughts about that, just please head over to Twitter @HereToSend and send us your thoughts, and so everyone can talk about it. What do you think about the Wi-Fi 6E naming?
Yeah, I'm going to assume people are like, wait, what? There's a Wi-Fi 6E? I'm not even on Wi-Fi 6 yet.
Exactly. I'm also guessing it's not easy for the guys at Wi-Fi Lands to come up with. They probably do meetings after meetings. And how should we name this thing? Yeah.
Let's do it like Apple and just name it with
Pro.
numbers.
No, they should call it Pro. Wi-Fi 6 Pro.
Oh yeah, Wi-Fi 6 Pro. Don't give them ideas, Francois. Wi-Fi 6 XS Max.
Oh my. All right,
guys. Head over to the show notes, cleartosend.net/203 for more information. hit us up on Twitter at Clear to Send if you have any comments or you want to contribute to the conversation here with this recording. But other than that, we will see you guys on the next episode.
See you guys. Have a good week.
Guys.
Bye-bye.